Hello. The last days. In 2 Peter 3:3, Peter gave the same warning as Paul did in 2 Timothy 3:1. In the last days, scoffers will come, and Peter also put this existence of the last day scoffers in his own apostolic era. In Jude 17, Jude reiterated the warnings of Paul and Peter. But, beloved, remember ye the words which were spoken before by the prophets of the Lord Jesus Christ, how they told you they should be scoffers in the last time. And Jude, like Paul and Peter, also spoke of the scoffers of the last time as being present in the first century. So Jude, Peter, and Paul all teach us that the last day scoffers were present in the apostolic era decades after the Pentecost. But were the last days to extend any further? When exactly were the last days to end? We look in Hebrews 1, verse 1 and 2. God, after he spoke long ago to the fathers and the prophets in many portions and in many ways, in these last days has spoken to his Son, to us in his Son. A more literal translation reads like this: by many portions and in many ways of old, God spoke to the fathers and the prophets. In the last of these days, he speaks to us in the Son. The author of Hebrews spoke of the last days in which God spoke to the prophets, days which stretched back to times of old. Now the author of Hebrews and his readers are still living in such prophetic days. But, as he said, they were living in the last of those days. The last of these prophetic days. He speaks to us in the Son. In James 5, we learn about the weeps and howls from the rich. The wicked, unbelieving Jews of the last, or of the first century, were about to lament and howl, for they were living in the last days of their glory. They were fattening themselves only to be slaughtered like cattle. For the Lord was at hand. He was at the doors. And he came at the appointed time, at the end of the prophetic age, at the destruction of the city and the sanctuary. At that time, the rich leaders of Israel, who hated Christ and his church, wept and howled as their hoarded riches consumed their flesh like fire. History tells us that the wealth of the last day Jews was consumed before their eyes in God's fierce wrath in AD 70.